I wonder what he would
That'll
think
drive
if.
anybody crazy.
I agree, but he lived till 100, so hey,
Yeah,
he he outlived everybody. Be sure to
he did.
subscribe. Be sure to subscribe to our show, Apple, Google, Spotify, and our YouTube page, The Lab Epstein Hitting Podcasts, of course, for new episodes every week, archived episodes and clips. I want to bring up something here too. I found this little chart interesting. This is from the Washington Post. Democracy dies in darkness, as they say. Two strike hitters this season. This is in 2021, the regular season. I'm going to give you a list here, and people watching on the YouTube side can see the graphic. Yuli Gurriel's number one, not counting the postseason. He's number one with the Houston Astros, 290 batting average with two strikes. Luis Robert, the White Sox, 286. He's number two. Santiago Espinal, or Espinal, however you want to say it. I say Espinal, but okay. With Toronto, 282 batting average with two strikes. Kyle Schwarber with the Red Sox and Nationals combined, 253 batting average. And did I say runners? I meant two strikes. I didn't mean runners in scoring position if I said that.
Two strikes.
Yes. DJ LeMahieu with the Yankees, 252. Michael Brantley with Houston, 252. LeMahieu is fifth because he has actually less strikeouts than Brantley does. And then it's Rosario, 248 of Cleveland, and then it kind of drops off. A Rise of Minnesota, 247. Harold Castro of Detroit, 237. Gavin Sheets of the White Sox, 234. I guess the last four hitters, a little bit of a surprise because they're not stars. They're not known as top 10, top 15, top 20 hitters or players for that matter. But those batting average after Brantley, they're kind of low for, or am I just in previous years? Does it really prove the point that strikeouts have really taken over the game here in the last 4 to 5 years just based off those batting averages?
Yeah, it's hard to say because it's batting average. It's not strikeouts.
Right.
Because with two strikes, you could be at an 0-2 count,
Mm-hmm.
or you could be at a 3-2 count.
Yeah.
So that's somewhat misleading. What I would say is the guy's hitting 260. That's
Right.
pretty impressive with two strikes. Like 240 seems somewhat. I mean, most of the
So that's
league, I don't
average.
know what was the league average this year. It had to be 250,
It's
right?
right. It was right. Well, no, it was right around like 230.
Was it right? So I
So
mean, we're talking about with two strikes, we have guys
yeah.
that have better than the league average,
Yeah.
that are low on that. So actually, that's a surprising stat to me that guys hit that high with two strikes, some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's a testament of their approach. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
they're more comfortable with two strikes. Maybe they're not as antsy. Sometimes people get real excited early in the count and then they get behind and then they're like, okay, I just got to put it in play, see it deeper. And then they become better hitters.
Yeah.
A lot of times that's a good approach for some players. But yeah, that's, I would have thought with two, I mean, I would say an 0-2 count, a 1-2 count, maybe even a 2-2 count. I would have thought that would have been sub 200 average.
Well, it doesn't have the counts. It only has
Two
just the
strikes.
batting average, two strike batting averages. Now, Yuli
Yeah.
Gurriel, just to add a little more context, because again, he's number
Yeah.
one on this list at 290. So Gurriel this season struck
Amazing.
out. So he hit 319, by the way.
Yeah.
That's a career high for him. He's getting older and he's still hitting, which is a good sign. We do have a question about a certain player that's getting older from a listener. We'll get to that in a little bit later. But he's 37, Yuli Gurriel, this season. So Yuli struck out this
Wow.
year 68 times as compared to walking 59 times. Does that kind of give
Yeah.
you a hint about things, about his approach with two strikes, or
Yeah.
just his approach in general?
His approach in general. I mean, it shows me like he has a different swing. He swings down a lot more than most guys. Like sometimes he
Right.
actually swings down. He probably has a negative attack angle.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember seeing one or two in the playoffs last year where I was like, wow, that was like, if you go to my Twitter page, and not that I'm trying to make you go through that whole thing, but there's a Gurriel one, I believe, from the playoffs last year that I put up there
Mm-hmm.
in slow motion where it was like all hands. He didn't use his, like, it wasn't a powerful swing. He was just trying to get his hands to the ball, get his barrel to the ball, and he used his hands a lot, and his legs were just pretty passive. Maybe that's a good thing for him.
Yeah.
His swing is built for the league now of high fastballs. Like I was just, it's Friday. So sorry, but we were watching. My dad was over, so we were watching the Rays game. We watched a little bit of the Brewers game, and it was amazing. Like all the pitches are at the top of the box. Everything that was 95 miles an hour or more was thrown at the belt, or the belly button. That's just how it was. And guys just swinging under it and swing. But Gurriel's a guy that'll handle that pitch. He starts with his hands really high and he kind of swings down. He swings very flat.
Yeah.
And he's built for that. Now you start changing planes with him and throwing more sinkers and sliders, it'll be a little bit harder for him to be on plane, but he's built for high velocity, high spin rate fastballs at the top of the zone. And maybe the league just kind of came to him, and that's why he had such a good year.
Yeah. Luis Robert, for more context, he struck out 61 times this year, walked 14. His batting average was 338. He had a tremendous year.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Now he only had, which I'm surprised about. He was hurt. That in mind as well. He only had 296 plate appearances though, and 275 at bats. But
yeah,
nevertheless, still
he's got the same build as like Puig, doesn't he? Like
he does.
Super, super big and athletic. What happened to Puig? Was he even in the league this year?
He was. He was with the
Cincinnati
Reds.
still, or
let me check here. Now I'm curious. Let me check here. Yasiel, that's a good comp by you, by the way.
Oh,
they don't call him the best evaluator in the world for nothing. It's a movie I haven't watched in a while. He was with Cincinnati. No, I'm sorry. I don't think he was in the league this year. He wasn't, in fact. His last time he was in the league was with Cleveland in 2019 and then Cincinnati. Actually, he went in that Bauer deal
yeah, he was in Cincinnati for the short season, but he didn't play this year.
Yeah, why did he flame out? I'm curious.
Because he's crazy.
He's crazy.
No, he's not crazy. He's what an athlete. That guy. Good Lord.
Okay. So
he can throw and hit. He must have gotten hurt, torn something.
So he was 8 years.
Very polarizing.
8 years in the league. I think 6 years. He had 6 years with the Dodgers. Wasn't tendered. Let goes, and he could have been. He was a free agent anyway. Arbitration years were up. And then, of course, went to Cincinnati and then was traded to Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know where he is. Who came out of retirement too? Hanley Ramirez.
I did not know that.
Now, that guy had a big leg kick. Remember that time with the Marlins? Yeah. He didn't hustle after a ball short, and all the three Marlins fans, they got all upset and angry. Sports talk in Miami went crazy.
Was Hanley there first, or was he in Boston first?
He was there first, then went to Boston. Didn't work out in Boston.
Yeah, he was good with the Marlins, though.